All right, so thank you everyone for coming. Welcome to Transit Matters on October 11th, 2022. We're very happy to have you guys here. I'll start with a safety message by John.
Safety message this month. We just want to be thinking about the solar glare is a big challenge as the sun starts setting earlier and earlier. Pedestrians and drivers are not well prepared for the sun to be in new places every day. We want to encourage pedestrians to be thinking about where the sun is. If the sun's behind you and low, you want to be super vigilant of other vehicles and be aware of the fact that they probably can't see you if the sun is low and behind you compared to them. We want to make sure that when you're crossing the street, you're verifying that the driver has seen you and come to a stop before you step into the roadway. This time of year, especially around sunset, is not a good time to be trusting that other people see you.
And we do have some news about Saturday cancellations. Camille, do you want to go in further detail on this?
Sure, absolutely. For the month of October, the dates on Saturday of 10/8, 10/15, 10/22, and 10/20. There was some discussion in the office that there would be less drivers available to drive on Saturday. And what we did was we looked at the different options that were available on Saturdays to provide the service and found that the Route 2 had the 2A, the Route 6 had the 6A, and in the evening time, there were not alternate routes available. And so with that discussion, we wanted to make sure that the passengers and the community knew in advance that on the Saturdays in October, that the service that would not run would be Route 2, Route 6A, and then the night service as well, which would be the North, the South, and the Central. In addition to the routes, the complimentary paratransit service, which complements the fixed route service, will not run after 5 p.m. We had our first Saturday where the night service was canceled, and we had someone fielding the phone calls to provide a return route or a guaranteed ride home for persons that were at a bus stop that needed a ride home. There ended up being 8 people who called. There were a few people that called that wanted to go to a place and then back. And the service that we ended up providing was the guaranteed ride home for those that did call. The last bus will leave the transit center at 5 p.m. and that's why the complimentary paratransit service is stopping after 5 p.m. as well. And right at the end of this presentation, we're happy to entertain any questions in regards to the Saturday cancellations. One thing in particular, just in general, that John will speak to is about the recruitment of drivers. A driver shortage is everywhere in the US. It is a nationwide shortage of CDL drivers and at times non-CDL drivers that could be trained to move into CDL positions. And that could be with the school bus system, the trucking, also with the Federal Transit Administration or the bus service as well. And this is something that we have seen with other transit systems, and it has just recently impacted Nashua Transit System to the point where routes have been canceled. We have had a Route 2 or a Central canceled on Saturdays in the past. And in the future, if there are additional drivers where there becomes open positions, then we will make sure that the passengers and the community are aware of how service may be impacted. And John will speak a little bit more about the hiring and the recruitment in the future. We do apologize for any inconvenience that this does cause to anyone in the community. It is something that we want to make sure that we provide as much service to the community for that scheduled, as well as increase the service in the future. And in addition to that, we want the service to be on time as well. And along with reviewing the routes that are available, the routes that are offered, we are looking at the afternoon service, where at times the routes have been either delayed or they don't start on time because of compounded traffic or detours or construction. So we are looking at that as well. And coming up in December, we'll have a little bit more information as to getting some feedback and finding out what routes that people are having a difficult time, where they're taking a route and possibly it not starting on time. So overall, looking at the service as a whole, we are looking at both what service may be offered with the drivers that we have available, and also the service itself and it being on time. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Camille. One thing that we do want to remind riders of is that, again, due to a lack of CDL drivers, we are having some routes be driven by demand response vans. These are technically not vans, they are buses, but they're much smaller buses, and they're commonly used for our paratransit and demand response services. So to tell if one of these vans is on a fixed route service, it will be lined up with the other fixed route services at the transit center, and it will have a route name on the header sign, as you can see with the center van here where it says Go Red Sox. That is where the route information will be displayed if it is in fact running fixed route.
Another benefit of running those demand response vehicles is that they're significantly more fuel efficient, and as everyone's aware, energy prices are going up and continuing to go up with the recent news about OPEC. And so this gives us, on the routes that have lower ridership, gives us the ability to move those people a little bit more cost efficiently. It looks like Alderman Lopez has his hand raised.
Thanks. I just had a question because that, as described, it sounds like it depends on someone being able to identify that the van is on a fixed route. Personally, I'm legally blind, and that is not going to happen. You guys are lucky I can even tell the bus is coming. I literally listen for the sound of the engine, and then I can zoom in with my phone sometimes when I'm quick and identify it coming down the road. But other than that, I have about maybe 200 feet warning that it's actually there. So given that I'm riding the bus and I'm far from completely blind, I'm just legally blind, is there any kind of identification list or way to identify drivers or riders who may regularly use the bus and are unsighted and may not know that the bus they're expecting isn't going by?
So the drivers are trained that they should be stopping anytime there's a pedestrian in the area of the stop. So if for the reason that you just cited, if a blind passenger is waiting, they frequently wait in the area of a stop because they can't see the stop either. And so they're waiting in the area of the stop, and as long as there's someone standing in the area of a stop, the drivers are supposed to slow down and try to verify whether that person's looking for the bus. So in your case, or in the case of anyone like that, we're looking at some hybrid electric vehicles in the future, which will be even quieter, and it'll be even more important that the drivers recognize that not everyone can see them coming and wave and start to move the way that a passenger moves when the bus is approaching. So it's a training thing that we will continue to work on.
Okay. I have brought it up because I've seen the paratransit go by multiple times while waiting for the bus along West Hollis. It's just as likely, though, that was just a bus going out to a fixed route or something down West Hollis. But I started to think, like, did I miss it a couple of times because of that? Because in terms of public perception, if the public is lazy like myself and uses Google, then Google doesn't have exactly the same pickup times that are on the map. So you get there 10 minutes early. You think, okay, this is when the bus is supposed to be here. but that's actually the time that other search engines would tell you you're supposed to be there so that you can be there when the bus really comes. So I figured out that there were some definite discrepancies between just the written times of pickup on the NTS schedule and Google, but it took me a while to do it. And then there's an additional delay if there's traffic or if the bus is picking up a lot of people, making a lot of stops and that kind of stuff. So that's why it might be good to try to strengthen the messaging so that if somebody isn't sure whether they missed it or not, they could call and then you'd be able to tell them, okay, yeah, no, stay with it by the thing. There's a fixed route bus on the way.
Yep. Yeah. You just talked about another thing that's really important to us and we're working on is trying to get a bus location passenger facing app, right? So that instead of relying on the schedule so much, you can actually pull up and see how far away the bus is, and then using the accessibility tools in the app, if someone needs to zoom in or have the ETA read off to them, that ETA would be available real time so that you would know when you were standing there. Okay, that loud noise that just went by was not the bus because the bus is still 4 minutes away.
And that has happened millions of times, so I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I look forward to it.
It's a work in progress. We're trying to get that. We have the grant awarded to us. We're trying to work through the request for proposals so that we can get a product that'll work for the passengers.
Not to go off topic from your presentation, but just with regards to driver recruitment, I realize that that's a little bit of a catch-22. I think I reached out to the bus company and DPW about participating in the Riverfest coming up this week, where there's going to be a lot of people who are residents of those areas, the Clock Tower area, the Cotton Mill, and the Front Street available, but we don't necessarily have somebody to run a table at an event like that. Is there other ways that we can help get the word out that NTS is hiring?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's if someone's offering to help get the word out, we could probably look at the possibility of putting together some flyers. I know that, DPW and ourselves, basically everyone in the city that needs a driver is having a struggle to find and hire a driver. So
I chair the employment committee for the Continuum of Care, which is a collection of different organizations that all have job development programs. So I can pass that out if you guys email that to me.
Thank you.
All right, so we do have some upcoming events as well, both in November. The first one is the Veterans Day Parade. That'll be happening on Friday, November 11th. We actually do have a spot in the parade, so if you guys keep your eyes peeled, you'll be able to see our bus driving through as well. There will be several detours though, I believe rolling detours around the Main Street area, obviously, because while the parade is going down Main Street, obviously we will not be able to access it. So we will keep you guys posted on that. We'll release the list of detours and the times that we can expect to see them on our website and on social media. Additionally, we do have the holiday stroll, which will be happening on Saturday, November 26th. Again, Main Street will be shut down, so that way people will be able to walk throughout it. And again, we will be having lots of bus detours, which we will be communicating via our website and social media. And we will also be providing a shuttle to the event.
Regarding the Veterans Day.
Sorry, what was that?
I had a question regarding the Veterans Day Parade.
Yeah, what was that?
Since you're driving a bus in the parade, is there an opportunity to get maybe some of the veterans who don't drive or would be otherwise unable to walk in the parade to ride the bus that you're driving in the parade?
Yep. Yeah. So that's something that we always extend to the organizer of the parade. The bus that we have to use is not as conducive as some of the buses we've had in the past. So it is a regular transit bus, which means that the people riding on board can see out, but people can't really see in. So it's not the greatest parade vehicle. But that's something that we've extended as an option in the past.
So that's literally a selling point to a lot of veterans that I know, because they don't want to be seen, but they wouldn't mind being able to see the parade, and that means being in it. Have you guys been able to contact the Harbor Care, who manages Elena's house for Buckingham Place?
No, in the past, we've been in contact directly with the organizer of the parade.
Okay. If you'd be willing to share a mechanism for doing that, I could pass it on to them too. They generally get left out.
Yeah, I'm sure we could pass something along. Thank you for the information, Alderman Lopez. Speaking of events, the North Pole Express has been postponed until December of next year. I know you guys, a lot of people were looking forward to this event, but due to some unforeseen challenges and just being very, very busy here at the admin office, we haven't really had time to put everything together. So rather than rushing last minute to try and get everything done, we want to be able to bring the best experience possible for next year. Camille, would you like to talk about the Title VI plan?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. The Title VI plan is the NTS plan that is required by the federal government, and it is a non-discrimination plan for persons in the community to make sure that due to no person is excluded from participation in or denied the benefits of transit services based upon race, color, national origin, as protected by the Title VI in the Federal Transit Administration Circular 4702.1.b. This is a plan that is updated every 3 years, and every transit system has one. We have posted the information in many different areas, which includes in Ride Guide, on board the vehicles, in the transit center, on our website, and just in general to get that word out that if anyone feels as though they're discriminated against while riding Nashua Transit System or giving us a call and feeling as though they would like to speak to someone about their experience, they can give me a call. My name is Camille Correa. I'm the transit administrator for Nashua Transit System. With this plan and the updates to the plan, as I had stated before, it's every 3 years. The notices are posted. We translate brochures and postings in Spanish as well as English. And the way that we know that we need to translate the messages into Spanish is because when we update the Title VI plan, we also update the maps and tables from the census. And that information tells us which language barriers are most prevalent in our area. And in our area, the first would be Spanish, the next would be Portuguese. And because of the number of people that are in our area that speak Spanish, then that's why we translate our documents and our brochures into the Spanish. The Title VI plan that is currently being reviewed by the Federal Transit Administration may be viewed during business hours Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And call me, Camille Correa, and my number is 603-821-2035. Depending upon the results of the review from the Federal Transit Administration, there may be additional items that are added to the actual brochure, to the plan and to the brochures and to the tables, which means that we would have a robust Title VI plan that meets all of the compliance requirements for the Federal Transit Administration. Thank you.
And Camille, would you like to speak some more about the transit center renovations?
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. We have good news. For the past year or so, we've been saying that there was going to be a delay in the transit center renovations construction, whether it was inside or outside. Those delays impacted both being able to access the bathrooms inside of the transit center and also being able to drive and or walk around the transit center, because both the inside and outside were delayed. It's good news to say that the renovations are complete. There are a few items left to complete. on the outside and possibly on the inside over the next couple of weeks. And any items that are under warranty that need to be fixed, you may see the contractor there, but that is not to say that we are going to shut down the street or shut down the transit center. We are just so excited that we have got to the point where the buses are operating around the transit center. There are bus lanes, that the bathrooms are open during the time that the ticket counter is open, that the waiting area has been completely renovated and the seating is available, and that we want to thoroughly say thank you to all of our riders and to everyone on the call that has been impacted by the transit center renovations, including all of the city staff that walks through the transit center area to try to get to City Hall from the parking garage. The south side of the parking garage was also closed during this time period and recently opened last week. And now you can actually enter and exit from the south entrance of the parking garage. So thank you again for all of your patience and cooperation over the course of the renovation project. We really, really thank you. And we are very excited about the next steps of utilizing the service, or excuse me, being able to access the service by utilizing the transit center. We will have also coming up the technology enhancement program. And what that's going to do is you'll see people within, I would say, a few months from now at the transit center doing some installs, and that shouldn't impact service itself, and in fact should enhance service once some display screens and automatic messaging would be available for people to see that the bus is coming and when the next bus would be coming. And Alderman Lopez, just in general, part of our scope also has in it to announce when a bus route will be arriving. And so we want to make sure that as we seek out any of the equipment that we will be installing at the transit center, that it will be able to reach as many people as possible that will be riding the transit system. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you. Oh, and then we do have the hours too, if you want to just briefly go over those.
Absolutely. We wanted to have people be aware as much in advance as possible that the transit center hours will be changing, just a very minor change, but from Monday through Friday. The ticket counter is currently open from 8 to 5 and lunch is from 12 to 1. We have found that quite a few people are stopping by between the 12 and 1 time period during lunch. And there are some people that stop by between 11:15 and 12:15, but not nearly as many people as we've seen at the lunch hour. But what we would like to do is offer that lunch closure for the actual ticket counter will be from 11:15 to 12:15, and it will be open during lunchtime from 12:15 to 1. So the hours will change from 8 a.m. Sorry about that. The light went off. I'll get it in just a moment. The hours will change from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. to 8 a.m. to 4:45 p.m. with lunch changing from 12 to 1 to 11:15 a.m. to 12:15 p.m. and that's Monday through Friday. Also, the waiting area times are going to be the same time as they were, which is the waiting area will be open from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, closed on Saturday, Sunday. Next slide, please. There are other time changes coming up, such as office hours for the admin and scheduling office, and also paratransit requests. What we would like to do is provide as much opportunity as possible from Monday through Friday for people to give a call, and also for staff to be able to schedule the rides for the next day for the drivers. So the scheduling office is changing from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. to 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. For a few weeks, of course, we will work with people so that if they call between 4:30 and 5, we'll take their ride request and then let them know that the scheduling office will be taking the last ride request at 4:30. And the scheduling office is not open on Saturday or Sunday, but only on Monday through Friday. There is no change to those days. The administrative building will change to match the scheduling office time from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And at the same time that the scheduling office is open, which is Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 4:30, that will also be when someone can arrange for the paratransit ticket requests. And the reason for that is because we want to make sure to get the tickets together and make them available for the driver for the next day, that they can, when they're picked up on paratransit, not fixed route, because it's two separate tickets, the paratransit tickets for the van service and the fixed route tickets over at the transit center. What I'm talking about right now are the paratransit tickets that a van passenger would call up and ask that we have tickets available for them to provide a check or cash to purchase those tickets while they are on board the van going to their destination. So we want to make sure that that is available for them as well. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you. And then John, if you just want to give some driver updates as well.
Sure. So like Camille talked about, driver recruiting nationwide is a real struggle right now. As inflation continues to increase, driver pays throughout the country have lagged behind, making driving a less desirable job. In addition to that, young people are opting to not drive as much as possible. And so there's fewer young people who are getting their licenses, fewer young people who enjoy driving. And so the number of potential drivers entering the marketplace is diminishing. So those two factors kind of combined make driving seem like a less desirable job. And so we're struggling to hire. As it says here on the slide, we do have one non-CDL driver in training right now. She actually started today as her first day, so she will complete training around the end of the month and should be in service starting for the month of November. We're trying to do what we can to move the needle, offering a $5,000 sign-on bonus, which is more than anyone in the area that I'm aware of at this point, to try to attract some folks to consider applying here. We're looking for, obviously, that would be for qualified drivers who can come and start driving in a short order instead of one who needs to go and get their license. We are still hiring non-CDL drivers as well. We have, I think, 2 more non-CDL openings. So those are drivers who we would hire and then we would pay to train and help them to get their license so they could become qualified. And the last thing there is that we are looking for a full or part-time dispatcher to help backfill a position right now that's 18 to 40 hours a week, depending. So.
All right. Thank you, John. That brings us to the end of the presentation. Does anyone have any questions or concern that they would like to share? All righty. Well, I suppose that concludes the meeting. Thank you, everyone, for coming, and have a lovely day. Thank you again.